I have a lot of thoughts, and it's pretty disorganized. A more thorough analysis will be needed when the full game launches. I'm only going to show gameplay footage of me casually fighting a Balahara trying to learn Sword and Shield in this game, so it might look a little bit sloppy, but suffice to say, I enjoyed the beta of Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds is a very different Monster Hunter title. In some ways, I want to say this game was made for the fans, but I've seen what a lot of the fans have said. Actually, I feel more confident in saying that this game was made for Takuda, the director. For Monster Hunter World, he said he wanted to create the Monster Hunter game he envisioned when he first watched the 2003 gameplay trailer. He said so in the article that I will link below. And in my opinion, Monster Hunter Wilds is closer to what I believe he was talking about, what he was envisioning, closer to this original 2003 gameplay trailer. And I think that this is a very, very good thing. Monster Hunter Wilds is shaping up to be a standout experience, arguably some of the best art direction the series has ever seen since Monster Hunter Tri, coupled with a compelling narrative and a fundamentally redefined gameplay loop. The focus mode and wounding systems are inherently gimmicks, but doesn't feel like a gimmick at all. It's as seamless as mounting was when it was first introduced in Monster Hunter 4. The Hunter does feel a bit more floaty if you don't use focus mode often, but that would only be a problem if focus mode was annoying or it wasn't rewarding enough. But focus mode isn't annoying, and it's very rewarding. The Forbidden Lands are almost a reboot of Monster Hunter's ecological level system, and setting a new precedent that the world of Monster Hunter is hostile. Several times I had large packs of monsters gang up on me, and I like that. Hunter was at a disadvantage, a real disadvantage, and it doesn't feel like a gimmick. It's all organically integrated into this game world. When things got out of control, it just kinda got out of control. Monster Hunter Wilds treats the world of Monster Hunter with respect. A respect that I believe was always needed. There's an abundance of dangerous monsters and an established culture of fear towards those monsters. The Hunter is depended on to help people. This tone is just right. An extremely hostile environment, yet everyone carries a gentle smile. There is hope that we can triumph over chaos. And I don't believe what I'm saying here, or what I'm feeling, is some sort of honeymoon period. I've felt these things for a while, ever since I first saw the initial trailers for Monster Hunter Wilds. Sure, I have my complaints here and there, and some of them I will talk about in this video, but unlike the usual excitement and hype I've had for the previous Monster Hunter games, I don't feel excited. Instead, I feel like a warm, comforting nostalgia. It's almost like this game has been giving me a hug. Monster Hunter Wilds is phenomenal. Now, I have reason to believe that many are not going to like this game. Fundamentally, I think that there's going to be a lot of players that aren't going to like this game. My entire YouTube channel was built around a thought I had, that Monster Hunter was moving in a direction that I felt compromised the artistic point of Monster Hunter. I believe that Capcom was chasing the combat loop of Monster Hunter instead of Monster Hunter itself, and in my opinion, it became stagnated, without room to grow. In the past, I mistakenly viewed Monster Hunter World as a part of that stagnation, but now in retrospect I see it more as a proof of concept that Monster Hunter needed to change. And now that the change is finally here, we're going to see an even bigger divide in the fanbase than we ever have before. I've seen countless concerns about balance in this game, about how the pop-up camps work with the player supplies, or how the secret trivializes tracking, movement, hunting, weapon sharpening, and all of this. And yes, believe me, these things would have significantly affected a Monster Hunter game like Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, or Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. But this is Monster Hunter Wilds, and I think it's going to click for more and more people as we play it. Our understanding of the gameplay loop of Monster Hunter has formed over the last 20 years, layer by layer like an onion. System upon system, menu upon menu, there's 14 weapon types and they all have their unique movesets that keep changing. There's numerous equipment skills and stats that we must learn. There's a catalog of over 300 monsters, and they all have their own systems and gimmicks. The developers at Capcom have a mountain that they must rebuild every new title. How many of the original systems from Monster Hunter 1 are even still relevant anymore? And how much of this actually belongs here? These are the questions more of us need to be asking. Every time I ask a new player what they thought of the Monster Hunter Wilds beta, they have the same reaction. They tell me it was fun, but they ultimately say they were overwhelmed by the game. Every time a director wishes to introduce a new system in Monster Hunter, they must battle with every other system that's already been implemented into the series. Eventually something has to give. I cannot imagine the absolute nightmare it is to program a game like this. Make no mistake, Monster Hunter Wilds still suffers from an overabundance of gameplay systems, even through Capcom's efforts to simplify the game, and I do believe that there is still work to be done in that regard. However, in my opinion, as a series veteran, the changes, the experiments they've made to the systems in this game are necessary. This game is extremely different from the old Monster Hunter we fondly remember, and I think it's good. I don't care that I can access all my items at a pop-up camp, because I still carded when I fought Rei Dao. I don't care that I can call my Sacred to pick me up so I can sharpen my sword in the middle of combat. I still carded to Rei Dao. Preparation and commitment are still here. They've transformed in this game into something very different than how it was back in the older titles, and I didn't see any of this transformation in Monster Hunter World because I believe Monster Hunter World was still in an identity crisis. But Wilds knows exactly what it is, and although I can't put it exactly into words yet, it's fantastic. I guess when I played World, many of the individual pieces and systems just didn't click for me. Nothing lined up right. However, despite all that, I was still satisfied with the game. I was still satisfied with Monster Hunter World. On the contrary of Monster Hunter Wilds, all the individual systems and pieces have clicked together. They do work. So I'm not just satisfied with the game, I'm comfortable. There are elements of Monster Hunter World that I liked, and those are still in this game, but there's also things that I didn't like, and they seem to be gone. But again, we have to play the full game to know exactly how much of Monster Hunter World is still here, and how much is gone. For example, I don't like that I can fast travel at any point in Monster Hunter Wilds, regardless if it's during combat or not. I think that's irrelevant. I do like, though, that anytime I did try to fast travel during combat, the monsters are able to punish me for it. I would personally prefer to be forced to move from location to location physically without fast travel, and I am forced to teach myself the layouts of the map, but as it stands, if the feature, fast travel, is in the game, I will abuse it, and it doesn't really ruin the game for me by any means. And then if we were to talk about tracking, I believe monster tracking was removed not because Capcom doesn't like tracking systems, but rather I think Capcom just has yet to find a tracking system they're satisfied with, and they just decided to skip it for this entry. Look, I don't like paintballs, and I don't like scout flies. Tracking not returning, though, that sucks. Absolutely that sucks. I want to track monsters, but I don't want to use either of the systems that we had before. I want a new system. And I can imagine that there's probably people at Capcom that have struggled to come up with an answer to this problem since the beginning. We just don't have an answer yet. These games are a mountain of systems. If anything had to be prioritized, it would probably be certain systems, and the new systems they've developed in Monster Hunter Wilds, I believe, complement Monster Hunter better than a lot of the systems they tried to do in World and Rise. A lot of the weapon changes, as far as I can see, make perfect sense to me. I didn't believe it at first when I saw people talking about it, or I saw the gameplay, but when I actually held the controller in my hands, I get it. They are actively trying to make these weapons more approachable, and that's a good thing, because these weapons are too confusing. They're still too confusing, which is still a problem. People tell me, oh, they're just flowcharts. It's like, buddy, if there's day one tutorials on YouTube, despite the game itself having in-game tutorials, then clearly it's very difficult to explain these weapons shorthand. And it's been that way since probably 3rd gen, maybe 4th gen. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, if we don't flip Monster Hunter on its head in a gameplay sense, we will never discover what's always been needed. And I'm happy the director, Tokuda, is doing what he can to change Monster Hunter in a good way, in a new and exciting way. Any complaints I may have about this game feel really irrelevant to the grand design, what the full picture is. And the full picture looks fantastic, and it's pretty damn close to what I've been asking for since the first day I played Monster Hunter as a child. So if Monster Hunter Wilds is the future of Monster Hunter, then that future is very bright. I want to thank everyone who watched this video. Sorry it's a little bit all over the place, a little bit unfocused, but as you can tell, there's a lot on my mind involving this game. I want to thank everyone who supported me on Patreon. It means a lot. It means everything to me. If you want to support me on Patreon and you want to build some cool Lego versions of the new monsters from Monster Hunter Wilds, I have a bunch of the new monsters from Monster Hunter Wilds available, including Deshagama, which just released, and as well as like 200 other monsters from the franchise history. Thank you all, and I can't wait to play this game again.